people that are posted all over my news feed. So, of course, we don't have a whole bunch of people pushing how it's white people, white people, white people, white people. Because it was a black person who shot up a college, apparently. We only want to point it out when it's a supposed race crime. So we got this lady here. We shot her husband. I don't know if he died or not. I remember her being in the news for shooting her husband. I just don't remember if he died. Former police officer. She said he molested 4 kids and then she shot him. She got 4 years. I'd try reading the whole article, but ain't no purpose in it. I see a very one-sided, very painted picture of, well, ignoring crimes by black kids and black adults against white people. We gotta forget that and forgive it, right? No, the fuck we don't. Wrong is wrong. It ain't wrong to do it back, though. Depending on the situation. If somebody kills your kid, that doesn't make it okay to kill their kid. That's vengeance or revenge, but it's certainly not justice. So, of course, there's some racist videos out there, real fucking racist, being perpetrated by members of the black community with no outcry from the black community. No voice from the black community crying these horrible atrocities. What's worse, the people many of these atrocities are being committed against: children, the homeless, the disabled, the same people the cops go after. And we were looking at the possibility of the N-word becoming illegal in the 90s. When that prospect popped up, well, all of a sudden we got a whole bunch of black folks saying, no, we're going to take that word back. That's our word. That's our word. Really? No, you using it just as racist as them white honkies. That's right. I've been called a honky more times than I can count. How's that not racist? What about if I ran around and called every white person a honky? You don't think that would be racist? You wouldn't find that insulting? How about that guy from Hood River who wanted to follow me here? All the way here from Hood River. Wanted to call me the N-word. Claiming that's my name because my last name is Schwartz and Schwartz means black. Schwartz does mean black. It doesn't mean N-word. Anyway, we got a lot of black folks today who have been taught that they can get away with committing crimes and being racist by accusing their victim of being the racist. Oh, I can't be racist. I'm black. He must be the racist one. He's white. How many times y'all white kids heard that? How many of y'all white kids been bullied by a black kid, and while he's shoving you and pushing you, he's yelling at you to call him the N-word? He dares you to call him the N-word. That shit ain't fucking nice. It's not nice. Then there's when you're getting hit by those assholes. By those assholes, I don't mean all black people. I mean the assholes who decided that because they're black, they get to play on being black, to be bullies. Oh, it wasn't me. I'm the victim. I'm black. I'm black. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I must be the victim. Look, I'm black. Well, fuck no. That ain't a valid goddamn excuse. See, my targets are very specific and very targeted. Targeted. You like that word? I don't go talking shit on people what ain't done no wrong. And if I tell the truth of a situation, that doesn't make me a bad person. Matter of fact, if you were involved in the situation and you didn't come forward on your own, that shows what kind of a person you are. When you can't admit your wrongs and you have to blame them on somebody who's mentally ill, isn't that your excuse? You didn't do no wrong, I'm mentally ill. You didn't do any wrong, I'm mentally ill. Well, thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you so much for showing me how much your religion really means to you. When you talk to me about your God, and that's the God that you show me, no, I don't believe in your God. I read the Bible. Your God ain't in the Bible. Yes, there is a God of wrath. Absolutely. And we know that Jesus himself flipped over tables and chased people with a whip. I am far kinder than Jesus. Guess how many people I ever chased with a whip? It's never happened. I have never chased anyone with a whip. Now here today we want to talk about the black Jesus. We also want to talk about the folks who be carrying a whip, how they're racist. They must be racist because they're carrying a whip. Well, there's lots of things that whips are used for. Just so you know, a cracker traditionally was another black man. Would have been somebody of the, well, you guys seen Django. You know the character played by Samuel L. Jackson. Would have been a man like that, except in his youth. Wouldn't have necessarily been a house slave, but whipping a slave was considered below a white man. I think it's all a bunch of fucking hogwash. My personal belief is that it don't matter what color of skin you got. A human being is a human being, deserving of the rights of a human being. Now, one of them rights, in my personal opinion, my personal belief, should be the right to affordable fucking housing. God damn. We should be allowed the right to our own goddamn property. Alright, I was blinking a guy because his lights were off, but I'm pretty sure that's probably against the law, so I hope I don't get pulled over for it. Now, as I'm watching this stuff, I'm watching very, very, very pointed stuff. Very pointedly trying to blame everything on white people. So there's a bunch of stuff about how we're supposed to feel bad for black people because so many of them are getting killed by police. And then we're also showing how many of them are getting killed by their own community. It's very similar to the homeless community. There are many homeless people who ended up killing other homeless people, many times over something as stupid as a bottle of goddamn booze. Well, I guess I'm gonna end this video. I was gonna be squeak a little bit while I go through the drive-thru, but they're full, so I'm gonna go inside the McDonald's here. Anyway, the point of this isn't some hatred towards black people or anything like that. It's no racist sort of nonsense out of me. I do once in a while try to make a video or so like that to throw back the crap that's thrown at me, to show you guys how it feels, and you sure as shit don't like it, but you expect me to like it. You can't even handle the words, and I gotta handle the actions. I gotta deal with being actually assaulted, having people threaten to kill my family and threaten to kill my friends. Then I'm expected to shut up, like I'm selfish for fucking speaking up. Well, they didn't lose a goddamn thing. They didn't lose their friends and family and their housing and every other goddamn thing they earned in their goddamn lives over this. None of them gave a shit. Many of them, I'm looking at them going, holy fuck, you're white. How the fuck are you ignoring other victims because they're white? Why the fuck are you making that excuse? Why are you saying, oh, I can't help out an actual friend who I know in real life because I'm fighting in general for gay rights? Fuck gay rights. Those are human beings. They should be entitled to the same basic human rights as the rest of us. There should be no need for special rights. A gay person is still a person. A black person is still a person. Of course, this is all dependent upon whether or not they have a roof over their head, because if you don't, and we're not talking about a car roof, we're talking about the roof that gives you legal fucking rights. Having your own property gives you legal rights. You are not subservient on your own property. Yes, you are subservient to the United States government, but no one else. The problem is we're subservient to the government no matter how much they ass rape us, no matter how much shit they take from us, no matter how much they beat us down or shoot those in our communities. We want to be selfish and only think about ourselves. We got black folks wanting to look out for black folks, but only the black folks that ain't homeless. We got white folks wanting to look out for white folks, but only the white folks what ain't homeless. You want to talk about a community out on the streets that's got it worse than anybody else? Asians on the street got it worse than anybody else. You know why Asians on the street got it worse than anybody else? Well, it's for the exact opposite reason. The Native Americans have a similar issue. When I was up in Hardin, Montana, I noticed that it's a very family-oriented society. And as a result, those family-oriented societies tend to look out for each other. And unless it's an extreme poverty situation, like with Native Americans being shoved onto land with shit resources, you know, we still get a lot of Native Americans out on the streets because of the fact that ain't nothing on the res for them. A lot of the homeless people that I met that were Native Americans out on the streets, they're drug addicts out on the streets because, well, they were addicts on the res. So are most of their families, much like many of ours. The problems there ain't no different than they are anywhere else. They just got less to pick from, less to choose from, less to do. You don't see no reservation parked right next to Anaheim, California. And even if there was, guaranteed the people on that reservation wouldn't be earning enough to go to Disneyland for goddamn sure. Well, you guys are spending $100 for your entry tickets. There's people that are hoping that they can make $200 to cover their low-income rent. We want to pretend all this racist shit. Like, if we keep saying it, it'll make it true. If we keep blaming white kids, it'll make it true. If we keep blaming black kids, it'll make it true. Fact is, when it comes to police brutality, that's something we should all be on board about. That is something we should all be saying this is wrong, no matter who it happens to. Police brutality is fucking wrong. For me, I don't mind going to prison for the rest of my life. As long as it changes laws and starts protecting people the way they should be. I used the same tactics that my predators did. They didn't want to get in trouble for what they did. And I didn't want innocent people being harmed for things that I didn't do. I should have screamed louder. A lot of people throw it in my face that I eventually screamed for help. Well, look at how many times I asked nicely. Look at how many times before Natalie died that I tried going to my friends and they just couldn't listen. Couldn't stop talking about themselves and giving advice. Oh my God, I'm gonna cough up my dinner. We want to show every little racist crime that's committed in America against black people. And we're talking about little crimes. Yes, the people who committed those crimes should be prosecuted. But it's not something that should be thrown in every American's face, as in we are all to blame. But the fact is, we really are. How many times have you seen something like that happen in front of you? Whether it was a black kid or a white kid that started it is fucking arbitrary. It's wrong. How many of you white parents are afraid to go tell on your white son's bully or your white daughter's bully because their bully is black? And you have to be afraid of being treated like a racist or having a confrontation. How many of y'all have gone to try to find a peaceful solution with a black person who's being an asshole? How often does it result in that black person screaming at you like you a bad person, calling you honky, and then telling you to call them the N-word? They dare you, they dare you, they dare you. We got Hispanic folks out on the streets, but they're a lot less likely to end up out there because of a family-oriented society. However, it seems to me that Asian folks tend to be taught differently. Now, I do believe that that depends on where you're from. But we've got a lot of situations, like, of course, Japan. If you don't get into college, Japan has one of the highest suicide rates in the world because it's a family-oriented society in a different way. You will be the best or you are casting a dark shadow upon our family name, and we will not allow you to be such a shame. You should do your family the honor of putting yourself out of their misery, and they can never speak of you again. Or probably just won't speak of you again. So that mentality is still very much alive today. When you see an Asian person out on the streets, they're a lot less likely to have support just because they're Asian. They are less likely to have family support. Now, this is something that I've heard argued many times between black people that are homeless and Asian people who are homeless. And one of the things that I did notice is that a lot of times it's an intimidation factor. If most people stood next to Bruce Lee, if they didn't know it was Bruce Lee, there would be absolutely nothing intimidating about him. If it wasn't for people having kung fu shoved down their throats, and ninjutsu shoved down their throats, and Karate Kid shoved down their throats, you know, that's a lot of the mystique of, well, Asia. Asia Minor and also Asia Major. It's mystique. It's people's ignorance of it. The idea that every person who's Chinese knows some magic Wing Chun death punch. Well, one of the things that I was against when Tyler Frericks posted up that racist post that he posted about how a soldier should punch Colin Kaepernick in the throat. You know what I thought was so wrong about that? Punching somebody in the throat to kill them. You don't need to take kung fu to know that. A lot of the black kids that I know, people are afraid of black kids. They're afraid because a lot of black kids have been taught that they're allowed to beat you up and pretend like you're a racist, and magically it goes away. Magically it's okay. It's racist, but it's racist in a different way. It's a different momentum, so you guys like it. You think it's okay because you're not the targets of such profane actions. Most of the time, people don't go after their predator. They go after people who are easy to victimize. Your daddy couldn't keep his hands off you, so when you're angry, you go and take it out on a homeless person. Then later on in life, for some odd reason, even with as much hatred as you had about your dad doing that, for some odd reason, 70% of you go out and do it to somebody else. 70%. 70% of all sexual predators and physical abusers were victims of sexual assault or physical abuse when they were growing up. Why the hell am I smoking off with tobacco? That lady gave me a whole pack of cigarettes. Oh. Fuck. I get to see black news. When I say black news, I mean bias and propaganda in a pointed direction. I'm not going to pretend that racism doesn't exist. I've been a victim of racism. I'm not going to pretend that racism against minorities doesn't exist. Many of the cultures that we have in the United States have been taught that you punish your children for being imperfect. The two groups most likely to do this are white Americans and Asian Americans. Now, there's also the fact that we also have to deal with white Americans doing many of the same things that they want to accuse all Native Americans of being. They don't want to help out Native Americans or have their taxes go to Native Americans because of this belief that all Native Americans must be alcoholics and drug addicts. And that certainly is not the case either. Many of these white people I hear saying this stuff go down to the bar in Chapel, Nebraska. On any given night, you'll run into any number of racists and any number of bars there. There's more bars open than gas stations, for Christ's sake. And you can go in there and you can buy your beer, pay to listen to some racist asshole who spends $50 every single night at that bar, totaling about $1,500 a month, which is double what I get in disability money to try to survive on for a month. And this motherfucker want to complain that it's blacks and Mexicans are the reason that he's always broke. Meanwhile, he's drunk literally every fucking night, and he wants to say he don't think his taxes should go to Native Americans because he thinks they're all drunks. Meanwhile, we got the news today posting a bunch of black America, black America, black America, black people this, black people that. I get that it's February. But how many of y'all get involved like that when it comes to, well, disabilities awareness? Y'all missed that one altogether, didn't you? You were too busy dressing up for Halloween. Halloween is what mattered. Halloween is what's important. Valentine's Day is what matters, right? Meanwhile, black people with mental illnesses are thrown by the wayside, thrown out on the streets, blamed for everything, ostracized, criticized, beaten down. Many of the black folks that I knew, their primary abusers were black folks. Many of the white folks I knew, their primary abusers were white folks. Many of the Asians I knew, their primary abusers were Asian folks. Many of the Native people I knew, their primary abusers were Native folks. This is because they primarily are segregated nationwide. We got to have Chinatown. We got to have reservations. We got to have the ghettos. We got to have trailer trash trailer parks. Meanwhile, every once in a while, one of us gets a leg up or a step up, don't we? But how many of them folks got there on somebody else's back, somebody else's sweat, somebody else's blood, someone else's work? Someone else's experiences. How many people today are still riding on their great, 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 great grandparents being slaves? Ain't nobody alive today. Nobody alive today was alive when slavery, as it existed prior to the Civil War, was still here. Now, don't get me wrong, slavery is still very much alive in the United States, but their primary victims are the homeless. Because now we have special laws. We got rid of the Jim Crow laws and replaced them with special rights laws, didn't we? No, we didn't. We never got rid of them Jim Crow laws. We just stopped using them Jim Crow laws on black people in houses. A black man on the street still subject to that shit. A white man on the street still subject to that shit. They don't have to have a sign on the water fountain anymore. If they don't like the look of you, they can tell you to leave. There's a show called Two Broke Girls. Now here's a show. It's called Two Broke Girls. And one of these girls is supposed to be a rich lady who her daddy cut her off for being a spoiled little brat. And the other one is a true spoiled little brat. She's got a big chest, and she's always making these jokes at this other girl about having a small chest. And of course, there was some homeless people eating in their diner, and she wanted to, well, make fun of the owner and make fun of the homeless people. Yeah, two broke girls, my ass. Both of those women should give up their entire paychecks for a year. Donate that shit to the homeless. Buy some fucking property they can put their tents on. Two broke girls. You fucking kidding me? And then we got the TV pounding at us. We got to do more for black folks. We got to do more for black folks. We got to do more for black folks. What more can I fucking do? I am speaking up as a victim of police brutality. Is that not enough? I am speaking up. And I am trying hard to get a day in court. But I am told I got to go to the back of the bus because I'm not black, because I'm not gay, because I'm not a woman. I couldn't possibly be a victim of anything because of the color of my skin, because of my gender. Because of a sexual orientation that is assumed upon me. Why would you assume my orientation? Why wouldn't you ask? If you were to ask me if I'm gay, I would say absolutely not. But I'm not interested in women either. Those of you who don't understand that want to call me crazy and then pretend that I'm some sort of a pervert because I don't want to stick it in your sister like you do. Ew! Gross! Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind. No matter what color they are. No matter what gender they are. No matter what religion they are. Shit just ain't right.